Joie
de
vivre.
We know it's joy of life. What does that mean?
It doesn't mean being happy all the time, but I think it means seeing the positivity in every opportunity. Do I wake up happy? No.
So do you have to get into that frame of mind?
I walk from Shepherd's Bush, I get some good music on, I'm building up the good vibes, and then I come in, I'm ready, I'm happy.
When I originally started this company, my strapline was workers play. I observed that you don't have to pay kids. You don't have to say, oh, could you build this Lego? I'll give you £10. You just put the Lego and they're just like, woohoo! And if you think about employee engagement, what we want from our teams, we want them to engage in their work as if they were a child doing something they enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Sparks, a series by Interactive Workshops. I'm Chris Lisserman and we are sparking things in work and life, from how to spark performance, from how to spark culture, to how to spark our special guest.
Rachel, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do here at Interactive Workshops?
I absolutely can. Thank you, Jonna.
Yeah, good.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. So I'm a producer. I have a lot of fun here. I have the pleasure of working lots with Chris and with Jonna, and I love working with both of you. It's fun, it's a roller coaster. We spent a lot of fun times in Toulouse working with Airbus. Also, I've been jet setting a little bit, going around the world a little bit. So I've been to Dubai.
Yeah, that's fun, isn't it?
What a cultural
very
experience. Very fun. Very enjoyable.
Were you working out there on leadership development with Savills by any chance?
Of course I was. How did you know?
I saw the photos on LinkedIn.
Yeah, videos as well.
And videos, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to say I sort of made a bit of a face for myself out there.
You made a face for yourself.
I made a name for myself.
You made a name for your face.
Made a name for your face.
That's
My
good.
face is out there in Dubai.
That's good.
There we go.
And that, I mean, we've been quite silly so far, but
Yeah.
that brings
We
us to
have.
the topic of today's podcast. And it's turned out to be harder to do a podcast on this than we thought because we've had so much fun.
Yeah.
Joie
De.
vivre.
Oh, God, I thought that was my word, surely.
Yeah, so there's three of us.
Okay, joie.
De.
Vivre.
Okay, joie de vivre.
Joie de
How to
vivre.
spark.
Joie de vivre.
Why, Chris, why are we talking about how to spark joie?
I mean, there's already been a bit of a joie de vivre from this. Excuse my French, by the way.
Is it French?
I believe it might be, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I don't know what it means, but
Joy
maybe
of
we'll
life.
work that out.
Joy of life.
Joy of life. It all makes sense now. There has been that little bit of joy to what we've been bringing to the podcast today. And I think it's quite key to our company culture as well.
It's quite key to
Definitely.
what Rachel brings as well.
Definitely.
I wanted to get started. So we've worked with you for quite a while now. And what I've noticed is some people, when they turn up for work every day, they're in a positive frame of mind. You never really know if it's true or whether it's a choice. Chris, for example, I know it doesn't really matter if it's choice. He will choose. Me, broadly the same. You, choice or natural, just happy to be here.
Do you want the honest answer?
Yes.
I do like being here, of course.
Okay.
Do I love a Monday morning commute? No.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
No.
You don't?
I do have quite a long commute. So I do have to gear myself up a little bit sometimes.
So you gear yourself.
I gear myself up. I set myself up for the day.
Yeah.
Do I wake up happy? No.
You don't?
Well, I do sometimes, but I'm not a morning person, I'll admit.
So do you have to get into that frame of mind? You have to say,
do.
right, I'm going to bring a positive self today.
I do. I don't put a mask on.
No,
You know,
we can see that.
I am myself.
But you're
at
faking
all times.
it.
No?
No,
I don't think facing it.
No?
I just, I'm walking. I walk from Shepherd's Bush. I'm walking. I get some good music on. I'm building up the good vibes. And then I come in, I'm ready, I'm happy.
Okay.
All right.
I believe in this process. I also do the same thing.
It's not wrong, is it? It's not a problem.
But why do you do that? Why don't you just turn up in your natural, however you're feeling?
Really good question.
Well, that's why I'm a professional podcaster. That's kind of what we're here to do.
Great. Thanks, Jonna. I don't really know, but I guess a big part of working at Interactive Workshops is we have a lot of fun and we bring a lot of energy. So if I turned up on a Monday morning feeling a bit glum, I could become a bit of a drain. And I think we'd rather be a bit of a radiator.
Radiator or drain, Chris?
Much rather be a radiator.
I'd rather be a
Would much
radiator.
rather be around radiators than drains as well.
Exactly.
Just a question on radiators. I just love the fact that they used to always be at the same place under the window. And
Yeah.
then a few years ago, all kinds of creative artworks made out of radiators. Vertical, patterned. But I'd much rather be a radiator than a drain.
Also, you don't really want a radiator under a window.
Defeats the point, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's true. But I guess it's to replicate the heat of the sunshine coming through the glass.
Replicate the heat of the...
No, it's not, is it?
No.
Probably not.
Okay.
No.
So you choose, you make a choice.
I do.
You'd rather be a radiator.
Yeah.
So does that mean that is your joie de vivre not authentic then? Because you've been invited here as an expert. You seem to have a lot of joie de vivre. Always ready for a laugh.
Can we stop and try and define exactly what joie de vivre is? We know it's joy of life, but what does that mean? What do you think, Rach?
I think it means it doesn't mean being happy all the time,
Okay.
because
good
I think
start.
that's impossible.
Okay.
But I think it means seeing the positivity in every opportunity. that a
Finding,
bit cringe?
seeing. No, it's good.
Oh, good.
I think
Good
that's
start.
what we're doing. That's why we got this whole podcast. That's how we're in this industry.
Yeah.
There is some under every stone something positive, isn't there? Even under the weight
Definitely.
of something bad, you can find a glimpse. It's not always appropriate to find a radiant, bright, full sun, but
You might need an light at the end of a tunnel, for
Yeah.
example, in that situation.
that should be, if there's an expression for that to kind of capture
yeah.
that. What
It would be helpful,
a
wouldn't it?
fantastic concept.
Yeah.
You're in a dark tunnel, but there's
Capture the-
actually light.
The spark at the end of the
Yeah.
distance.
If there was only a kind of just a common phrase,
Yeah.
like
Helpful.
the glimmer on the horizon of the
Yeah,
tunnel,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That glimmer on the horizon we might need.
Yeah. We need that, don't we? But you're saying it's not bad to be down,
Not at all.
sad.
And happiness is different to joy as well, we might be saying as well. In that you're saying you can't be happy all the time,
No.
but you can bring something that's joyous
Yeah.
on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Why do you do that though? Why not just turn up with a bit of mute sort of glumness? What is it? Must be something about your life choices, about your philosophy for life that you think it can't just be because you work at interactive workshops. If you worked in the rail industry and you're a platform attendant, you also would do the same thing. I think it's part of the way you go about life. That must lead to your life philosophy.
Interesting segue there. It probably does, yeah. I actually studied philosophy.
That's why you got a job here.
Yeah, interesting.
It's a good way to get a job here, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've got a keen interest in philosophy.
I asked you when you were in job interview here, we did speak about this on a previous pod, but tell us about your philosophy for life and what you consider in order to find that glimmer that we just spoke about.
Yeah. So my life philosophy can sound a bit morbid on the surface, but it originates from an interest that I had when I was at university in existential philosophy or phenomenology.
Phenomenology, love it.
Phenomenology.
The study of phenomenon.
Right. Makes sense.
The phenomenon of life.
Wow.
So I have always, since a young age, had a real interest in what is the meaning of life. I remember when I was really young, my dad used to tell me about the universe, and I've got a twin sister, so he used to tell us a bedtime story, which was about the meaning of life or about what was up in the sky beyond the earth. And so since 5 or 6 years old, I've always been interested in deeper meanings and bigger questions, much to my parents' discontent, because it meant I always asked why a lot. But so yeah, going back to university, when I was studying existentialism, I came across an interesting philosopher called Martin Heidegger. And Heidegger has a really interesting concept about the meaning of life. And he comes up with this idea of authenticity and how, as human beings, we always strive to be authentic, but we are never fully authentic. And to be fully authentic, you have to, in every single moment of your entire life, you have to live with an awareness of the ultimate possibility of your death. So every opportunity, every decision, every thought is almost burdened by death as an ultimate limiting factor. So bear with me.
It's heavy. This is
Sounds
getting
quite intense.
Yeah, it's getting quite heavy, isn't it? But this is good.
Wow.
We're bearing with.
It gets better. So you might call that a burden because it sounds like at all times you should be thinking of your own death. But Heidegger frames it in a way that it's an opportunity for you to see how unique your life is and how you should always live with an awareness that life is not given and that actually we can choose to live in every moment.
I'm just going to say that again for emphasis. We can choose to live in every moment.
I can kind of see it on the LinkedIn post in a quote.
What does that mean, to live in every moment? Does that change? Should that change the way you live in every moment?
I think so. I think what it means, and this is just my personal interpretation, so...
But you're the expert on the podcast, that's why I got you here, so don't apologise for that.
I'll take it. I think it means that your life theoretically could end at any given moment. We never know when we're going to die. But if we always have an understanding that we shouldn't take our life for granted and that every moment is an opportunity and that every possibility can lead us in a new direction and the world is an endless set of opportunities and possibilities, then like what an amazing, fantastic way to live your life.
Agree.
It's true.
Chris,
It's hard to argue with.
Yeah.
I don't think I think about my own death very regularly.
Let's think about
to
it
be
more.
honest.
Where would you like to be buried, Chris? Let's think about it. I know where I want to go.
Where do you want to go?
South Downs.
South Downs.
Yeah, I've got the spot in mind just above Sullington.
Oh, yeah?
There's a nice little... In fact, the reason why I say is that once I was out hiking and I saw someone else's ashes scattered there, I thought, this is good. I'll go there.
Wow.
I haven't told enough people. But where would you go, Chris? Somewhere in the Midlands?
Actually, I think I'd like to be sent out to sea or something like that. I don't want to take up too much space. You know, other people are going to come and go.
The old Viking ship funeral.
Yeah, in fact, like some kind of Star Wars, like up in flames burial would be
Wow.
kind of cool.
I don't know what you think as a
It's
professional philosopher, but I think he's still in denial about thinking about his own death because he's using a fantasy.
100%.
Yeah. So,
it is a fantasy for me. I'll be dead.
yeah, but the reality is it won't be like that. Well, it's not. You're unlikely to be on a ship sent out to sea, Chris.
Why not? Do I not get to choose?
Because you'll
I
be
want to
really
choose
old.
in every
You'll be really
way
old,
I
and
live.
your children and your grandchildren can't be bothered to get a ship and burn
It's going to be
it.
decided for me, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Have you got a will?
It's lost my joie de vivre a little bit.
Have you got a will, Chris?
No, I don't have a will.
Have you got a will?
No.
Guys, come on, you go. That's another
I'm not old
chance to
enough.
contemplate.
Not old enough,
not old enough,
but
surely.
your psychology of life is about living in perception of your own death.
Yeah.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that I'm constantly thinking I'm going to die. But yeah, I should
Okay,
probably
there's a
get...
difference
I'll
there.
write a will.
Yeah, I can introduce you to my sister who's from Hope Solicitors. That's good.
Oh, nice.
It's interesting what you're saying. So I'd like to just recap a little bit because what you described, you talked about your childhood, you talked about your dad. God, I love your dad. I don't met him, but I'm sure he's great. Tony. And your mum actually is a fan of the pod.
She is.
Shout out.
Hi,
Shout
Mum.
out there.
Hi, Denise.
Denise.
Shout out to Denise.
Actually, I remembered that one or two of your family members have also LinkedIn connected with me. Probably Tony, actually.
Probably.
Shout out, Tony. But what I recently noticed that people often say, well, the universe sent me this and the universe did that. But it's actually exactly the same as what people used to say about God, whether you have capital G or small g.
Right.
They used to say good and bad stuff came
Something
on
has
as
come
God.
my way.
Yeah, it's come my way.
Mm.
And now everyone says, oh, yeah, well, the universe is trying to tell you something. But in the past, they just say, God is trying to tell you something. And it seems to be interesting that as human beings, now, even though we're in now what was probably the most atheistic times of all times, we actually still need this mysterious force to send us things or tell us things. Or I just wonder whether it's part of the human condition that actually this kind of belief in something bigger than ourselves is necessary. There are fatalistic people who believe there's nothing else and it's all completely pointless. But it's interesting how in common society, not necessarily philosophy and experts, but in common society, now people broadly say, well, the universe has sent me something, which is like just 100 years ago they say, well, God sent me something. It's interesting that we've got that kind of need. Do you think we've got a primeval need? Some people believe we've got a kind of innate need to think there's something bigger than us.
Yeah. I think if you think it's just us, it leaves a lot of responsibility with just the decisions that you make and the choices you make. So if you have a sense that someone out there is pulling the strings, then it takes a little bit of the burden away from responsibility.
But do you think that takes away from your thought process about contemplating what really matters in the short life you've got? Like if we say, well, and it's just a bit of luck and things may or may not happen to me. But do you think that takes away by saying, well, actually, it's not really all about me, so it's not really about my choices?
Maybe.
Because other things are going to influence me as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, for example, Heidegger would, do I know his religious status? No, I think he probably was an atheist.
Got to be an atheist, yeah.
Probably.
Fact check needed. But he would definitely argue that it's all about the decisions that you make, the choices that you make. And that's also why he says you can actually never truly lead a fully authentic life, because as humans, we're not always in control of our minds. And that's not to say that other people are in control of our minds, but it's more like we're not great at having a really good awareness all the time. Like we can't always be thinking of the ultimate horizon, the ultimate limit, which is death.
We get distracted, basically.
Exactly.
We procrastinate.
Exactly. We are fallible.
We sometimes do what we don't want to do.
Yeah.
I don't think is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, so cats, do you think they always land on their feet?
No.
They can't, can they? But we think that they do. But
I think they do more than other animals.
I bet occasionally some just break their back and die.
But we don't hear those stories.
No, we don't. But yeah, we've got this kind of feeling that the way the world works, certain things always turn out.
Yeah.
We've got 9 lives, the cat lands on it, but sometimes the cat must mess it up. And I think that's a little bit what you're alluding to. We're very fallible. I also did a research project on what makes people lucky when I was in my early career. And there were some very interesting intellectual parts to what we would call luck. But for example, people who believe themselves to be lucky, when a good thing happens, they make themselves part of the act of the story about what made it happen. And when bad things happen, they don't.
Right.
When good things happen, they say that this will continue and it's a kind of permanent state. When bad things happen, they explain it to themselves as something's temporary. So if they're crossing by a road and they get just clipped by a car, they'll just say, "Oh, that's so incredible. That's never happened to me in London before," and it probably won't happen again. Whereas if they found a £5 in the street, they say, "Wow, look at me! I'm so lucky. I've always got my eyes open. I'm always seeing things." So they explain the different phenomena in different ways. And I think that also your kind of conception of whether it's what's good happens to you or what comes to you, but it's also how you then program yourself with that thinking, whether you make yourself the active agent of good, whether you think actually just, you're just passive and just things happen to you. But it was interesting that people who are perceived to be lucky, they have this quite centered approach to the good things, but bad things, they say, oh, it's temporary, or it was a one-off, or it's also actually generalizing whether it'll happen everywhere. So, for example, let's say you get delayed at an airport. If I'm always unlucky, I always get delayed. Not just, but isn't it just that you just get delayed because you're flying out Heathrow a lot and there's a lot of delays? No, it's every airport. I always get delayed. Whereas like a person who's got a lucky mindset would say, do you know what? I do seem to get delayed a lot out of Heathrow, but that's, only Heathrow, all the other airports, fine. So they don't generalize it to all different places.
Interesting.
Do you think you're lucky? Or what? How does that fit in, Rachie?
Do you know what my gut is saying? I actually don't think I'm a lucky person. But I don't think I'm unlucky. So
I had a dog.
Guess I'm out of discussion.
I had a dog like that.
So
it was not lucky, and it was not unlucky. Very hard to call it. It didn't have a name.
Okay.
I don't think I believe in luck. I'll put that out there.
Do you not?
I don't believe in luck.
That's, I think, what
But do you
I'm
believe in
thinking.
chance?
What do you mean by chance?
Well, if you don't believe in luck, what do you think is going to happen when you toss a coin? If you call heads or tails, it's just chance, isn't it? That it's heads or tails.
I do believe in chance, yeah.
Okay.
Do you believe in fate?
Do you believe in fate?
I don't believe in fate, I think, in the sort of popular definition of fate.
Okay.
I think I do.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I think I do. I don't know. I think
Some things are meant to be.
some things are meant to be, and what happens to you is not necessarily about luck or chance. It's about, I think fate is also about making it happen. Like having an awareness of what is your destiny and then going and getting it, like manifesting it.
Do you?
I'm sort of
Just
cringing myself out a little bit by saying it, but
it links to what you're saying. I think what you describe, you don't actually fully believe in fate, but I think what you believe is that it seems you say, if you make a sequence of choices in a certain direction, if you keep alert and aware and keep making informed choices. It leads you on a journey towards where you want to get to. And whether that's success or Crete, wherever you're trying to get to,
you could be.
If you keep making good choices, it's more likely you'll get there.
Yeah.
Find a life partner, get fit, do a pull-up. This is something I know Rachel's trying to do. But if you keep making the right choices to be able to do a pull-up, eventually you'll be able to do one.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm trying.
People say you make your own luck as well.
Yeah.
So if you put yourself in a place.
Especially lucky people say that.
Yeah, they say that a lot. Yeah.
But if you won the lottery,
or successful people as well.
If you won the lottery, would you say, "Oh, that was lucky," or would you say, "I bought a ticket"?
What would you say?
I would say I bought a ticket. I made it happen.
Would you say that?
Probably say I was lucky.
Would you?
Even though I don't believe in luck. I mean, what are the chances?
Well, I can tell you exactly what the chances are.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's just interesting is it how your explanatory style, whether you think that it's luck, whether you put yourself in the centre of that. Heidegger would say, you are in the centre of it. Keep making good choices.
Yeah.
Even if things get bad, even if it's difficult. But also we're fallible. You won't always be in a good state of mind, which again, if you think about the zeitgeist of our times, absolute fascination with mental health. And yet there's also a bit of a disjunct about the causes of ill health and ill mental health. And the better choices, we can't always make good choices, but the better choices we make, the better mental health we'll have. Even though we may also sometimes be ill. The same with other illnesses. If we make healthy choices with what we eat, if I ate less of my daughter's jelly beans and more broccoli, there's a chance I could be healthier.
Yeah. You get to that destination eventually.
I could get to that destination.
Yeah.
Going back to Heidegger for a second.
Oh, come on.
Go on then.
Okay, well, last thing, because I've missed a crucial part of it. So although Heidegger talks a lot about authenticity and yourself and your own actions, he also talks a lot about community.
Does he? Yeah.
And about how authenticity as a state is impossible to reach by yourself, and that you need a community around you.
100%.
Acting towards the same sort of goal.
100%.
Yeah.
Also, a community. So I don't think you can really know yourself without other people. I think that your identity is a social phenomena.
Yeah.
And it's what people project onto you. And I've really experienced this when I left corporate world and become a freelancer and work by myself. I sat at home all day. There was no one to tell me who I am. So if I woke up in the morning and I felt bad or bored or lonely, there was no one to go, "Hey, Jonna, you're really fun. You're really exciting. You're really sporty. It's just me trying to conjure up my own self. Whereas when you're in a social environment with other people, even if you're really boring, everyone will say to you, "Oh yeah, that's Chris. He's really boring." Like, at least they'll reinforce. People want you. Commitment to consistency.
Yeah.
People want you to be the person that you always were. I think it's also why it really annoys us if our parents change. Have you ever had that?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's really annoying, isn't it?
It's frustrating. You want them to go back to how they always were
Yeah.
when you're growing up.
Yeah. Have your parents changed?
No. Don't
Tony and
think so.
Denise?
No.
No.
Always the same.
But if our significant people around us, if they somehow go through a life event and change, it's we feel it's really annoying because we want them to be the person they always were.
Yeah.
But I think that our community helps us see who we are, and without that, we're a bit lost. And then coming to the world of work, if you think about hybrid working, I was with someone at the weekend. I was at a wedding. They work from home permanently, going to the office twice a week. They're missing out on the reinforcement from their colleagues of who they are, with all their quirks and all their warts and all.
But maybe they don't need that.
Maybe, maybe they don't. But I thought Heidegger was saying that we all need it.
No, yeah, I'm speaking anecdotally, but some people really don't need anyone to tell them who they are.
Not to tell them, but to reinforce.
Or to reinforce.
I think reinforce.
Do we lose that? If we don't get that from community, do we lose kind of who we are?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, if you think about the way we punish people in society, is we put them in social isolation in prison. If they're naughty in prison, we put them in isolation. Children at school, detention, and then maybe isolation. Why is it that when we want to punish people for murder, we put them in isolation as basically the loss of freedoms and being by yourself, the worst thing we can do? We don't beat them with lashes.
No, it's our go-to punishment.
Yeah.
Isolation.
What? It's non-violent, but it's horrible.
Yeah.
And yet some of us, we choose it for ourselves every day. Just being by ourselves too much, in my opinion.
So it's the best, worst punishment. or the best
It's
punishment.
the best, worst punishment, yeah.
And we do it to ourselves.
Yeah. But we do it to kids. We do it to
Yeah.
time out on the would you go naughty step? I'm just thinking Rachel used to be a teacher.
My daughter
actually.
isn't at that
I
age.
did.
Yeah, you must have done that kind of isolation
Detention,
punishment.
time out, or lashes?
Yeah.
Never lashes. Ever. Yeah. Detention, isolation, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's a removal of community, a removal of relationships, a
Yeah.
removal of interaction.
Yeah, but I think that's because children crave attention and interaction and social proof. So if you remove that and then you've got them sitting in, I mean, I don't fully agree with the concept of isolating children, especially in schools where you have those horrible like isolation blocks. They even have those panels so they can't see
Really?
even the person. A lot of
Wow.
schools have that.
Oh.
It's being phased out because it's not very, I don't know, it doesn't sit right, does it?
No.
But there is something to be said about taking a child out of a social environment to punish them, because it sort of like reminds them they can only sit with themselves and reflect on the choices they've made. Whereas if you like have a social punishment, you know, if you were to have a child being punished on a stage in a playground, they'd love it.
Yeah. Do you know what though? If I was
Not supposed
punished,
to enjoy it.
I know children. I've got some teenage kids. I've got some teenage kids friends. I know some kids who get punished a lot. They're not sitting there reflecting on what they've done at all.
No, yeah.
They're just thinking, this is really boring. I'm just going to try and amuse myself. And then as soon as I can get out of here, I'm going to get out of here. It's probably going to happen again tomorrow. But that's also, if I was in prison, I would try and take your approach and I'd try and wake up daily and think, okay, how am I going to live my best life within this tiny four walls? I have actually been in prison.
Mm.
Okay.
And the cells are terrifying. Being by yourself in those cells with the door locked is terrifying.
Sorry, have you been in a prison cell with the door locked?
Yep. In
Oh.
a category B prison,
Wandsworth.
Dartmoor.
Why? Chris?
Can't really talk about it.
Really?
It is terrifying.
Sounds terrifying.
Oh God. Okay.
But it's supposed to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be powerless and terrifying.
Mm.
But this is the whole juxtaposition with what Heiger's saying is we've got this incredible life force.
Mm.
We can make these choices and what we do with it's up to us.
Mm.
I think that's incredible.
Bringing it back into the work context, I'm thinking about when we want to not punish ourselves, but we want to go away and reflect. We want to improve, and often we'll go off on our own. We'll do a retreat, or we'll just spend some time reflecting. And actually, maybe what we're saying is, don't do that kind of thing alone. You won't find as much out about yourself as if you did that with a coach or a mentor or a manager.
I think you can. Self-reflection on your own is really good. But yeah, it's really interesting if we open the book of our lives to other people and say, could you help me with this? I was actually going to say, related to when we find ourselves in prison at work, meetings. A lot of people go to meetings and the senior person's talking or somebody's talking and other people are effectively trapped there for an hour and they don't have the agency to speak up. They don't demand an agenda, for example, say, look, guys, I'm going to be here, but if I'm going to be here, I want to know what we're working on. How am I going to be involved in this? They just go there and they just accept the status. They're stuck.
They're trapped.
Some people are in those meetings every day. I think
it's a shocking number that are trapped in those kind of meetings.
I was in a very, very long meeting last week for me, about 6 hours. But I was active, but there was at least one person there who said nothing for the entire 6-hour meeting. And they just sat there.
Wow.
But I think they're there. They feel they have to be there. They can't get out. But isn't that very similar to prison as well? Trapped.
Le plan vert.
Le plan vert.
Excuse you.
Le plan vert. It's a French phrase which means the green plant, but it's about being.
Your French is exceptional, by the
It's
way.
very
Well done.
good. It's better
We
than
could
mine.
never
What have
have guessed that.
No.
Le plan
Some
vert.
people might not know what that means,
Okay.
but metaphorically it means blending into the background.
Yeah.
Yes. The green plant.
The
In
green
meeting room.
plant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that brings us back to our topic, which we started on, the joie de vivre. We actually covered whatever the reverse of joie is. Quite a lot of dark thoughts, prison, being trapped, death. But the point of it is to contrast with life.
Yeah.
We talked about
Joy.
choosing life. I'm thinking of Train Spotting now. There's a poster, Choose Life. We've talked about life philosophy. But I don't know if you know this, but when I originally started this company, my strapline was work as play.
Work is play.
Work as play.
Work as play.
But I observed that you don't have to pay kids. You just give them a sandpit. You just give them Lego. You don't have to say, oh, could you build this Lego? I'll give you £10. You just put the Lego and they're just like, woohoo! you don't have to say, look, do you know what? I'll pay you £100,000 a week to play football. You just bounce a football.
There's no negotiations.
There's no agent.
Yeah.
Should we go out the back, son, and play football? You'll have to speak to my agent, actually.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that we don't really need to be paid for. And when I started this company, that was the strapline, work as play.
I like it.
And it lost us a lot of business because people thought we were a bit stupid or silly. But the idea that if we're meaningfully engaged in things we enjoy, it should go above and beyond what we can be remunerated for. And if you think about employee engagement, what we want from our teams, we want them to turn up for work with maybe a chosen, but hopefully not, a smile on their face, to engage in their work as if they were a child doing something they enjoy, rather than a dutiful employee ticking a box and writing a deck and, pumping out some code and having a sales meeting, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to cultivate that environment though, because I've got a background in being in school as a teacher, and that is a tough environment. And so coming here and that change where the stakes feel lower, they're not really lower, but it feels like you're allowed more time to have fun.
Possibly too much.
Possibly too much. Definitely too much.
I mean, it's funny. There's a cost to the P&L, isn't there? We actually have more people than we need in order that. So we made less profit than we could with more people than we need in order that there's plenty of time for fun and enough people to have fun with. And I think if you look at most organisations in our sector, they'd have a smaller head count for the P&L. But then there'll be a lot more hard work. There's a lot of hard work here, but my belief is that you should work hard intensively at times. Sometimes, maybe for a long period of time, but it shouldn't be your every minute of every day, because that then drains you and kind of diminishes you. Whereas if there's enough people, there's an expression that if there was a light that you got a lot of people to get it to work, many hands make light work. Is that right?
Many hands make light work, yeah.
But what it means is, I don't think it's to do with lights, I've just realised.
No.
I think it's to do with lifting. Many hands make light work. Yeah. So here, we try to have a many hands make light work. Oh, there's a lot of lights out there now. But that's a corporate choice. And I think a lot of companies, they're going the other way around, which is we go souls before goals.
Yeah.
Whereas they go goals before souls.
Yeah.
And because of that, then their goals are up there, souls are down here. Therefore, souls are working hard to get someone else's goals.
Yeah.
And that capacity enables a playful culture,
Yeah.
which I think is a really good thing. And I like that work as play, maybe not as a strapline, but as a concept and as a culture.
As a philosophy.
I think as a philosophy.
Yeah.
I think it's a good one.
IW philosophy.
Yeah.
I've thought before that people... I love games. I love playing games, board games, making things games, gamification of things. People will say, it's quite competitive, but I'm not very competitive. I was trying to work out, why do I keep wanting to play games or turn things into games when I'm not actually that competitive? I don't really mind if I win, but it's the attitude of play.
Yeah.
Can I just say I hate games?
Do you hate games?
You're just a sore loser, Rach.
I often lose. I hate forced fun.
Right.
If you speak to anyone in my life, they know Monopoly, theme parks.
I don't like theme parks.
I wouldn't go to
It's
theme parks.
forced fun.
Yeah, I know.
So if I were to come here and I was starting, it was my first day at IW, and it was like, let's play a game, I think I'd be out the door.
Well, we know what not to do with Rach.
Or what
Play a
to do.
game.
Games night tomorrow, guys.
Yeah.
I won't be there. No, but do you know what I mean?
But why do you hate the concept of, okay, just the forced fun?
Yeah, because I love fun and I love joie de vivre, but
It lacks authenticity.
Sorry, you'll have to translate that for us. I don't know.
the joy of life.
I'm getting deja vu.
But it lacks authenticity.
Right.
Exactly. I'd much rather just sit around, have lunch with everyone and have a laugh. And that's what drives me and motivates me, and the people element of it. When you get a board game out and the fun is confined.
Yeah, I think
Feels
limited.
you have the skills. You've got very high level of interpersonal skills, so you can do unstructured, unforced, very, very fun. Some people need the board game
For
together.
people like me,
I had to
can't be doing that.
Chris needs a board game.
Yeah.
You need it.
Yeah, it's a springboard. It's
a
for
springboard,
conversation,
yeah.
for fun, for a joke.
I mean, why do you think Ross has to do Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah. You'll never ever catch me doing Dungeons and Dragons.
You would love it.
Oh, yeah, it's performance.
It's the best thing is
I
performance.
like performing.
Yeah, you'd love it. I had a group of teenage children round last night, actually, and we had to get the Uno cards out to create, because they're just sat there being slightly socially awkward.
Yeah.
And I wanted to integrate everybody. And I was trying to get people to talk to each other. So tell me, how are you? I'm all right, thanks.
Why were you there, Jonna?
Because they're at my house. It's my kids' friends.
Was that not obvious?
Yeah, sorry. I had a group of teenage kids around at my house because they'd come over for dinner.
Okay.
Because I've got children.
Did they not maybe want to have fun by themselves?
It's just when the kids have got their mates over, they kind of separate and play with their individual friends. And we had them all around the table. I wanted to get something fun happening.
Yeah.
But to create the joie de vivre, I needed a game to keep their attention as a mechanism. I mean, they could be spontaneously as fun as you and I, but they're actually more like Chris.
Yeah. I guess that's an interesting question then. So how do you create joie de vivre?
Well, I just want to bang on about this.
Go on.
I think work is the mechanism. I think that if we don't have a job and we don't have work, we've got no mechanism to create this. We wouldn't know each other.
Yeah.
And let's say we all just had our own allotment and we went down and grew the vegetables, went home and ate them and went home. Could do that.
Could do, yeah.
But what you create together, work is actually the structure like a game. Our sales meeting, our marketing meeting, coming up with marketing ideas, our podcast. These are all mediums upon which game-like we can make fun.
Yeah, and we level up and we get it done. And
we can get leveled up. We can get a pay rise. We can get level up.
Yeah.
Get you're a performer, so you get applause.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Credits.
There's certain checkpoints, aren't there?
Social recognition.
Yeah.
Work is a brilliant medium for all these things.
Yeah. I'm just remembering that IKEA. You've been through IKEA, right?
Of course.
No, I've never heard about this place. Tell me, what is it?
It's a rarely known Swedish furniture brand.
Really?
Yeah,
Very
big
niche,
big stores, and it's designed like a game.
No.
Yeah, it's designed like a game. It's got a map. Given a gap, you go on this quest. You get teased of what you could have at the end, and you have to follow this route. And there's little shortcuts you can take as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to carry a box of pencils.
You have to fuel up.
Carry a box of pencils.
So you can get some food, some drink, to carry stuff around, pick stuff up, carry it with you, take it with you to the end. There's a final destination, a final boss, the till. And then you've completed it. You're done.
How often have you actually been to IKEA? That sounds optimistic.
I know. Because you get trapped in there. It's actually a very difficult game.
Actually, coming back to the joie de vivre, probably some of the most depressed moments of my entire life have been at IKEA.
It can be really horrible.
Yeah. It's in my mind, the worst experience. You go with someone that you used to love, who insists you go to IKEA. You start to question that love immediately. You think, what day? It's 8:00 on a Thursday evening, and now you're now asking me, shall we go to IKEA? And you're thinking, I do not want to go. Then you go there, but without a sufficient list. So it is a quest, but with no defined ending.
No, exactly.
But worse, the shallow bribery of meatballs.
Yeah.
As if, I go to work, I get paid. Someone takes me out for dinner, I get a nice dinner. Are you really thinking I'm going to fall for this ridiculous meatballs bribe? I am not.
Every time though.
Never.
I fall for the meatballs bribe.
Every time.
Yeah.
So I mandated I'm not going anymore unless there's a fixed list.
It adds a logical element to it in that, we're going to need lunch anyway, aren't we? So might as well do that IKEA and pick some stuff up. It's the logic. It adds some logic to the trip.
Do you not look laterally at the people there and think this is where relationships go to die?
I think you can go in loving someone and then quickly work out that you have entirely different ideas about what interior should look like.
Yeah.
I've just remembered something. I know someone that I used to go to school with who got engaged at IKEA.
No way.
I'm so sorry. I've just slightly sipped into the back of my throat.
Wait, where in IKEA? And I don't know, as I asked that, where the appropriate place is or less appropriate places.
I think it was by the bedroom section.
How are we supposed to put this podcast out with this terrible trash we've created today?
I mean, at least there was an engagement, I guess.
I would have said no if I'd been proposed to in IKEA.
100%.
I said, look, Paris is only an hour and a half away, pal. Get me there.
This wasn't the trip to do it on.
Yeah, Chris actually lied on his proposal day. Do you know that?
Wait,
Yeah.
hang on. I feel like you told me this.
I think I told this on the podcast maybe
Yeah, you
before.
did.
Yeah.
His biggest line he's ever told when he got married.
It wasn't in IKEA though.
Well, that's good.
Where was
It was just that I didn't have the ring.
Yeah.
It was in Derby.
Lord of the Ring.
Lord of the Rings. Bringing us back to joie de vivre, we should wrap up our podcast. But Jonna, first, tell us a little bit more about how we're sparking that joie de vivre in clients.
Well, I'm going to say that our whole customer approach is around this kind of energy. We've been a bit silly today, but silly and sensible, light and dark, high and low. I do think that our relational approach to clients, we try not to be too professional. We are professional, but we don't try to be professional. And I think that that's a lot of the energy and the buzz that people get from working with the team at IW. Possibly also related to what I'm realising about resourcing, is that because everyone here is not fully under the cosh all the time, slightly resentful about their employer, then there is the scope and capacity to follow a flight of fancy or an opportunity and get involved in something. So the way we work, I think, gives people a good sense of our client energy. And the other part is that a lot of the work we do, especially leadership development, involves really clear thinking. And partly why I like hiring people who've got philosophy degrees and very smart thinkers like Rachel, is that when we're asked to propose a program, could you help us teach leaders in our organization? We have to avoid all of the cliches and all of the wishy-washy thinking around what makes a good leader. We're just working on a program about a culture change program. We've got to avoid all of the cliches. People who've been on these programs before, they've worked for other companies. They've been on change programs. They know that we are going to tell them that the current system is coming to an end and there's a burning bridge and it's going to be the end of the world. Therefore, we have to change to do this SAP integration or whatever else. But in a new world, it's going to be unbelievably phenomenal and nothing's ever going to go wrong. It's going to give us everything we've ever wanted. And kind of, there's a lot of kind of wishy-washy corporate thinking. There's also, I don't know which way to look, but there's the whole self-improvement people. So I've got to think about how I sleep, how I drink, how I eat, who I socialize with, what time I get up, what time I go to bed. There's an enormous self-help world out there. And actually, a ton of this stuff, it's a little bit overload in a way. And so what we're trying to do when we're working with clients, let's say we're doing a leadership program or change program, we've got to distill down all the possibilities of what we could do down into the smallest set of brilliant things that are going to give us the most leverage, the smallest number of changes to get the biggest possible impact, the simplest possible change to get the best possible outcome, and also think about all the communications wraparounds. So, for example, the burning bridge analogy, that if we don't change, our company's going to fail. Like, if you've worked in business for 10 years, you've heard that about 6 times. So then when someone else comes along and says, this is why our company has to change, you're like, yeah, I've heard this all before. It's complete rubbish. Probably if we just carry on, we'll just do the same, but a tiny bit worse. Or, you're just trying to push your political agenda. So, we're used to thinking through with a bit of this, using some of our philosophical skills, some of our critical thinking skills, how to go about the learning and development work that we do, not just using all the cliches and all the stuff from the self-help people.
Which would be easy to do. But that's
so
not
easy.
what we're doing.
There's nothing wrong with those people. Enjoy it, guys.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pay really good money for learning and development, you want a
get
really
some
good
different
outcome from
thinking.
it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jonna. Thank you, Rachel, for joining the show. If you've liked this episode, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We love seeing those subscribers. You can also review the podcast, and we love getting those 5-star reviews. We've seen all of those to date.
Yeah, all 3 of those.
It's more than 3, Jonna.
We've got
That's
loads.
my mum and my dad and my sister.
Yeah. If you're a parent of anyone on the podcast currently, could you give it that review?
Yeah, we could have a parent's phone in, actually.
Hotline.
Yeah, we absolutely could. We need to get your mum on the show, Jonna.
She's going to come on.
Yeah, we'll do it. All right. Thank you both.
Thank
See
you,
next
Chris.
time, Jonna.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for watching this video by Interactive Workshops. Give it a like down below and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. Click through to here or here to watch another video by Interactive Workshops.